In the headline. Thugs attack ex-governor El-Rufai, ADC supporters at political gathering. Northeast governors raise the alarm over looming flawed food crisis. Mixed reactions trail construction of El-Rufai flyover in Markadi. On the foreign scene, 1 dead, 5 injured as car slams into crowd in France. Good evening, this is News Update on Trust TV. I am Chiamaka Marvel. Thank you for joining us. The official inauguration of the APC, PDP, SDP, NNPP and LP to ADC Transition Committee team in Kaduna State ended in chaos as thugs stormed the venue with dangerous weapons including cutlasses and stones, leading to physical assaults and vandalization of property. Although policemen were on the scene, their use of tear gas only caused more commotion and panic around Mogadishu layout where the party event was held. Speaking to newsmen, former Kaduna State Governor and ADC National Leader Nasiru El-Rufai, alongside the National Vice Chairman of ADC Northwest Zone, Jafar Usani, alleged the involvement of the ruling party. They also accused the police of complicity, saying officers failed to protect members who were carrying out their constitutionally recognized responsibilities.
My message to our people in Kaduna State is first, I feel really bad, and indeed I apologize for contributing to bringing about this disaster of a government. And partly for that reason and other reasons, I'm working with other concerned citizens of Kaduna State to bring an end to it. I urge the people of Kaduna to be resolute, to continue praying, to be law-abiding and peaceful, and go out and register to vote and be ready to vote for our party and our candidates when the time comes, so that we end this disaster that is happening in our state. We've gone years backwards.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Yeson Wike, believes the conduct of the Rivers State local government election is a step closer to the end of emergency rule in the coastal state. Wike spoke on Saturday in Rumokurikom, Ward 9, Unit 7, Obiakpo local government area of the state, after voting in the Rivers Council elections. He equally hailed the conduct of the elections and described it as peaceful. The conduct of the elections came 6 months after the Supreme Court nullified a previous one conducted out by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. In March, President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the South state, citing rising tensions over months-long political impasse between Wike and his successor, Siminalayi Fubara, which had defied peace moves.
Very happy. That means that people identify with the election, and people are also worried that there are no elected people at the grassroots. And so today is the opportunity for them to choose who would represent them at the local government level, from the councillorship to the chairmanship position. I have to say with this, I watched particularly your outfit when you are saying that that party. That is not correct. We should have the experience of Nigerian voters in elections. You have general elections, which is being conducted by INEC. You have local elections, which is being conducted by the State Independent Electoral Commission. And you know that most cases, elections start from 10 o'clock in the morning. So when you go to a polling booth by 9 and you think you expect people to come out by that time, that is not the usual case.
Governors of Nigeria's 6 northeast states have raised the alarm over looming humanitarian and economic crisis in the region, citing climate change, rising agricultural costs, and fragile infrastructure as threats to millions of livelihoods. The warning was contained in a communique issued at the close of the Northeast Governors Forum 12th meeting held on Saturday in Jalingo, Taraba State. President Zulum, while commending progress Governor Zulum, while commending progress in the fight against insurgency, the governors expressed concern that insecurity, displacement, and poverty are being compounded by emerging challenges. They highlighted forecasts from credible climate agencies predicting imminent floods that cloud or could devastate the sub-region. The governors urged the federal government and the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) to take urgent action to reconstruct bridges and other critical infrastructure already weakened by past flooding. On food security, the forum decried the rising cost of agricultural inputs, warning that poor harvest and hunger could hit in 2026 if no intervention is made. As part of efforts to strengthen civil-military relations in the fight against terrorism, the Multinational Joint Task Force (MNJTF) has provided medical services to over 3,000 resettled communities of Mungunu and Kukuwa local government of Borno State. The free medical outreach also witnessed the distribution of drugs, food items, water, facilities, and agricultural inputs to the communities. The MNJTF said the intervention aims to alleviate the healthcare burden on the communities with limited access to medical centers. The MNJTF Force commander noted that the Multinational Joint Task Force is also focused on building trust between the military and local population, which is imperative to regional stabilization, saying it remains committed to ensuring that the Northeast region becomes unsafe for terrorists.
We are here in line with the African Union Mission Support Team to deliver medical outreach to the locals, those vulnerable persons who have been affected by the scourge of Boko Haram. So far, we've been here for the past 4 days and the exercise has been going on smoothly. You can see from the background, the medical team attending to the locals. We'll be getting a lot of support. However, in our participation within Mungunu general area, there's not been any local partnership from the local participants here. But somehow we got some assistance from some little bit of health workers.
Since it is during the rainy season, we have a lot in case of malaria, typhoid is very prevalent in the midst of this our IDP. That is why we targeted this period to come for the medical outreach. So besides that, we have some other pathologies that the doctors are also taking care of. Now, these IDPs, there are people that have suffered a lot from the nefarious activities of this new state army.
Appreciates the military for this medical support. They gave us drugs and also sensitized us on healthy living too. A few days ago, they gave us food pervasives. I pray God blesses them for this gesture.
Over in Niger State, the police command has recorded multiple breakthroughs in its fight against crime with the arrest of suspected assassins, thugs, illegal migrants, and other offenders across the state. The command's public relations officer, Wesiu Abiodun, who disclosed this in a press statement issued in Minna, said police patrol team in collaboration with vigilante members stationed at railway crossing Beji in Boso local government area intercepted two suspects, Muhammad, 40 years of age, and Muhammad Usman, 35 years of age, both of Beji, who both confessed to being hired by one Dogo of Beji to assassinate a man around the railway crossing area. In another operation, the command's anti-thuggery squad stormed Soje A, Soje B, and Pankungu areas of Minna and arrested 9 suspects for thuggery, while recovering suspected stolen solar batteries, knives, cutlasses, and a digger. Similarly, police operatives in Shiroro arrested Mustafa Saleh, age 28, of Zumba, for cultivating and dealing in suspected cannabis and recovered 2 bags of harvested cannabis, while his accomplice, one Shoibu, remains at large. In Minna, operatives attached to the GRA division arrested 2 suspected illegal immigrants from Senegal, Seydou Jah, age 25, and Sirinjof Jibrin, also age 25, following intelligence from the Fadikbe community. Over 10 people involved in a road accident on the Bini Auchi highway on Saturday had been rescued through the intervention of the Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebolo. The governor, who was en route to Irua in the Eson Central Local Government area of the state with his entourage, encountered a heavy gridlock after the bypass and immediately alighted to assess the situation. On arrival at the accident scene, he met several victims in critical condition, many bleeding profusely, while many bystanders stood helplessly. Moved by the state of the victims, Governor Okpebolo directed his aides to use two of his security Hilux vehicles to convey the victims to a medical facility for treatment. He personally supervised as the injured passengers, including a woman with severe injuries, were lifted one after another into the waiting vehicle and rushed to the hospital for urgent treatment. Eyewitnesses recounted that the accident occurred when the driver of a white Toyota Venza with registration number Abuja drove against traffic, resulting in a collision involving 4 vehicles and 3 mini-buses. A Gombe-based Islamic scholar has warned against the dangers of envy, describing it as a sin that could lead one to eternal damnation. According to the cleric, envy is not directed at the one who receives Allah's favor, but at Allah himself who bestows it. He therefore urged Muslims to avoid such an act, which amounts to direct confrontation with the Almighty. Trust TV's Hassan Lawan Kohli reports.
During his Friday sermon, the chief imam of Masjid At-Taqwa in Gombe, Sheikh Adam Ardo, described envy as one of the most dangerous spiritual diseases of the heart. He stressed that Muslims must at all times avoid being envious of Allah's blessing upon others.
The envy, it's one reward. It consumes one's reward just like the fire consume cottons. So we should try to avoid that. As Muslims, we are not supposed to do that. Envy is just hating the favors of Allah upon another person. Or even when he gets it, you try to do whatever you want to do in order to see that he is relieved of these favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever is doing this is not against the person, but he is fighting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is not going to succeed.
The cleric outlined categories of envy and advised Muslims to seek Allah's favor directly rather than focusing on what has been granted to others.
Envy can be divided into 2. First is the one that when he sees the favors of Allah with another person, he will not be happy. His heart will be blackened. He will not be free. His heart will be contracted because he doesn't like what he sees. But he will not make any move, either by his tongue or his actions, to ensure that those favors are departed the person. And the second one is the one that will hate those things that Allah has bestowed upon somebody, and at the same time make attempt, either by words of mouth, insulting him, saying a lot of things that are not good, trying to pull him down, the PhD syndrome, doing a lot of things, and his actions too speaks volume of the level of his envy. So as Muslims, all these things are prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sheikh R.O. further cautioned the persistent envy is destructive, affecting almost every aspect of life. He added that envy represents a direct rebellion against Allah, one that could ultimately lead the offender into hellfire. Hassan Lawan Kohli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
You're still on to News Update on Trust TV. When we return from the break, take a look at mixed reactions trailing construction of Urukum flyover in Makurdi. More when we return. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. A recap of our top stories. We told you that thugs attacked ex-governor El-Rufai, ADC supporters at political gathering. We also informed you that Northeast governors raised alarm over looming flood and food crisis. To more stories. Mixed reactions have trailed the commencement of a construction of a flyover by the federal government at the busy Wurukum roundabout in Makurdi, the Benue state capital. Trust TV's correspondent in Benue State spoke with some residents of the city on the importance and challenges of the Makurdi Overhead Bridge project. Here's more in the report.
The Wurukum roundabout is a major gateway for travelers passing through Makurdi, the Benue state capital. Just a few days ago, the area looked like this. Now construction work has commenced under the supervision of both the federal and state ministries of works as human and vehicular activities continue around the site. The construction site has even become a point of attraction for residents of all ages. Heavy earth-moving machines are pulling down old structures and clearing the rubble to pave way for the new flyover. Some residents have commended both the federal and state governments for the initiative, pledging support for the developmental strides. They are also calling on motorists and pedestrians to exercise caution when driving on the route to avoid accidents, while urging governments to sustain efforts that deliver more dividends of democracy.
What they are about to construct now is a flyover. And what that means is that it's going to reduce traffic congestion here. Because if you look at the roundabout here, it's the center of the state. Everybody coming from Plateau, Taraba, any part of the country, this is the meeting point. So for that reason, there needs to be a free flow of movement. Honestly, this will reduce congestion of traffic. However, the contractor, the way he's handling it, is not good enough. He started the other lane. He would have finished before translating to this one. This is causing a lot of dust, more accidents. So that is on the side of the contractor. If not, it's a welcome development. Another thing I want to add on is make this traffic. Should try to add, if they are not enough, they should add more so that they will control all those vehicles so that this kind of incident that happen yesterday will not repeat.
However, for some women who depend on roadside trading in the area, project has displaced their businesses and source of livelihood.
It is not our wish to be by the roadside, but it is because of difficulties. As you can see us here to earn a living, some of us are here because of the displacement that, as it is now, we cannot afford shops. Some of us are trading here because of difficulties and largely because we don't have anybody and no money to rent shops that are costly. That is the reason why we are looking for daily bread.
My husband doesn't have work. He's here that me and the children were eating. And since morning that I'm here, that I'm not selling anything, I'm just thinking what to do. Because I don't know what to do. And I don't have money to rent shop.
Residents are hopeful that beyond this project, both the state and federal government will also address other pressing challenges, such as perennial flooding and economic recovery in the state.
Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yoon Dong-hae, has called for deeper cooperation between the two countries to safeguard peace, justice, and the principles of the United Nations Charter. The ambassador made the call on Friday in Abuja to film screening organized by the China Cultural Center to mark the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist Day. He said the event was to honor history, pay tribute to the fallen, and remind the world of the importance of preserving peace and building a fairer international order.
Today, we gather to commemorate this great victory, to honor history, to pay tribute to the fallen, cherish peace, and build a brighter future together. Let history be our guide. Let us preserve with unwavering resolve the hard-won outcomes of World War II. At this critical juncture, it falls upon us to reaffirm our commitment to the international system with the UN at its center. The international order underpinned by international law and the basic norms of international relations enshrined in the purpose and principles of the UN Charter.
In business, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has engaged in high-level talks with his Brazilian counterpart, Gabriel Murica Galipolo, to strengthen economic and financial cooperation between the two countries. The discussions took place during President Bola Tinubu's state visit to Brazil and formed part of a broader working visit by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN's delegation to the Banco Central do Brasil, according to a statement released by the CBN on Saturday. Both central banks are exploring opportunities to enhance collaboration on fintech, mobile money, and payment systems, reflecting the growing importance of technology-driven financial services in their respective markets. Speaking on the occasion, Governor Cardoso stressed the importance of building a resilient financial system in Nigeria. Galipolo, Brazil's central bank governor, welcomed the talks and expressed Brazil's interest in broadening the scope of cooperation. It is hoped that enhanced cooperation between Nigeria and Brazil's central banks could accelerate financial integration, improve regulatory frameworks, and open new channels for trade and investment. On Florence, a man intentionally plowed his car into a crowd outside a wine bar in northern France after an altercation early Saturday, killing one person and injuring 5 others, 2 of them critically, prosecutors have disclosed. The incident took place in the town of El-Rufai in the northern French region of Normandy at around 4 a.m. Saturday. An investigation has been opened into homicide and attempted homicide, according to the prosecutors, who ruled out any terrorist or racist motives. 2 men, including the car driver and the woman, have been taken into custody, the prosecutor said, adding that further arrest where possible. Guy Lefranc, the mayor of El-Rufai, expressed his deepest sympathy and solidarity with the victims, their families, and loved ones. In sports, former Nigerian international Samson Siasia says the Super Eagles can still secure a place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Super Eagles have endured a difficult qualifying campaign, managing just 1 win from 6 matches. Eric Chel's men set forth in Group C, 6 points adrift of leader South Africa's Bafana. With 4 games remaining in the qualifiers, Siasia remains confident they can turn things around. The qualifiers resume next week with the Super Eagles hosting Rwanda's Amavubi at the Gosula Pabio International Stadium in New York. They will then travel to Bloemfontein to face South Africa on Tuesday, September 9. That wraps up news updates at this time. For more of our news programs and documentaries, follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I'm Chiamaka Nwafor. Thank you for joining us at this time. Good evening.